The world's richest billionaire, Elon Musk, and near billionaire Vivek Ramaswamy were on Capitol Hill today to join a bunch of other really rich senators to go over the plan for the misnamed Department of Government Efficiency, which is not really a department. Part of the plan includes spiking unemployment by laying off millions of federal employees and gutting federal agencies. Musk and Ramaswamy have already promised massive cuts to federal agencies Republicans don't like. They also want to cut $500 billion a year from the federal budget and fire the vast majority of federal workers. All told, they want to slash $2 trillion in government spending. DOGE has no statutory authority and is essentially a presidential advisory commission that can make recommendations. Neither Musk nor Ramaswamy have any public service experience, but that's not stopping them. Their targets include the Department of Defense, Sesame Street, the IRS, the Department of Justice, and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They're also looking to kill any government programs that have their spending authorization set to expire. And you may want to think twice about celebrating some of this stuff, because the proposal would include ending veterans' health care programs, drug development and opioid treatment, housing assistance programs, health care programs, student loan programs, and Head Start. Republicans and some Democrats are rushing to sign up with this Presidential Advisory Commission's branch in Congress. Publicly, they're celebrating Musk and Ramaswamy's plan to gut the government. But what they say privately is a different story. One senior Republican aide told Punchbowl News, two people who know nothing about how the government works, pretending they can cut $1 trillion, both with decent pulpits to preach from, and the ear of an unpredictable president? Disaster. The only good thing is that at some point they'll overpromise and get bounced by Trump. But until then, disaster. Joining me now is Congressman Maxwell Frost of Florida, a member of the House Oversight Committee. There are some Democrats, Congressman, who are tempted to join up with the DOGE committee. That's the real committee, the congressional committee associated with this advisory group. Are you one who is tempted to do so?
Well, as of now, it's not even a committee. It's a caucus, which anyone can make a caucus of anything at any time in Congress. But this is what I'll say. Look, we're going to find room where we can work together, of course, over the next 2 years with our Republican colleagues. But let's be honest about DOGE and this whole thing. It's a joke. We're talking about two billionaires who are cosplaying as government officials, not an actual department of this government. It's an X account right now. And here's my thing. I'm all for making our government more efficient. But we got to look at the proposition here. The proposition of these two guys is that to make the government more efficient, we got to fire a bunch of people and take away a bunch of funding. And that lack of nuance and actually providing real oversight on how we can make the government work in a better way shows me firsthand that they're not coming at this on the right foot and not coming at it from the right place. I mean, look at Elon Musk. I mean, this isn't even to mention the horrible discrepancies we've seen and the fact that Elon Musk has a vested interest with government contracts. So we have to look into this this issue that we have right now with these two billionaires coming in.
I will note that Musk owns companies with federal contracts. Tesla has at least $352,000 in contracts. SpaceX at least $15.4 billion with at least 12 agencies. Wonder if DOGE is going to plan to cut any of those. But, you know, to what the point you just made, it strikes me that, you know, a lot of Americans say, I want government to be run like a business. Well, this is what it looks like, right? They don't have to think twice about how government works. They just come in and say, cut that, cut that, cut that, cut that, and I'm going to go have lunch. I want to play something from, this is, I don't even know if you were alive when this ran. This was in the late 1980s or late 1990s. And this was Jim Miklaszewski of NBC News talking about cutting overspending at the Pentagon.
Despite a promise to reform the system, the Pentagon revealed today that it's still wasting millions of dollars each year in the purchase of spare parts. For example, for an Air Force KC-135, the Pentagon paid $75.60 each for 187 set screws that should cost 57 cents. That's a 13,000% increase in the price.
Now, Congressman, this is one area where I actually agree with people who say we need to cut waste in the government. The Pentagon has been bloated and overspending and buying $500 hammers since I was in high school in the 80s. And so this is one where and look at where the spending goes. $71.6 billion in defense spending is spent in Texas, $68 billion in Virginia, $60 billion in California, of $32 billion in your state of Florida, and $27 billion in Maryland. So the interest that these government contractors have in their bloated spending, which is overcharging Americans for real, is distributed throughout all these very important states. And those states have senators who are going to want to defend that spending, and congressmen who are going to want to defend it. Is it feasible for someone like an Elon Musk to say, we're just going to go ahead and start slashing defense spending, which I think a lot of Americans would actually want, and have those people in those states stand down for that?
If that's something they're serious about, I think they'll find bipartisan support on it, right? 75% of our military budget goes towards contractors. And like you pointed out, a lot of these contractors are completely stiffing the American people and ripping away our tax dollars. And a lot of this money goes unaccounted for. I actually have a bill. It's a bipartisan bill, Defense Oversight Act, which passed through the NDAA, which helps empower the inspectors general to make sure that we can figure out where this money is going. So if they're serious about that, I'm in. But like I told you at the beginning, I'm just looking at the way they're coming at this whole thing. Zero nuance, just talking about cutting stuff without looking at it. And I don't know, I'm a bit skeptical that Elon Musk is going to be serious about actually cutting defense spending and looking at these contractors. But we'll see. We'll see. Again, this guy has not had one single successful business that hasn't leached onto taxpayer money. And so we'll see how serious he is about that.
Exactly. To cut government federal contractors that have defense spending that get tax money for defense, but he'd have to cut his own companies. He is in business in Texas and in Florida with government contracts. You're right. He's been made a billionaire by federal tax money going into his businesses. I want to get your comment before I let you go. Trump has picked yet another billionaire. There are about half a dozen billionaires in his new administration. A guy named Jared Isaacman in the next door neighboring district to yours to lead NASA. He's a 41-year-old founder and CEO of a payment processing company called Shift4. He's flown to space twice on commercial SpaceX missions, but he's never worked in NASA or in the federal government. He partnered with Musk and SpaceX in 2022 to pay for the launch of the Polaris program, which is 3 private space flights. He seems to be buddies with Elon Musk, and I guess being a billionaire is his qualifications to lead NASA. Your thoughts?
Same thing on Elon and Ramaswamy. Trump, it looks like he wants to be surrounded by a bunch of people with no experience that are simply happy to cosplay and dress up like government officials. This is a billionaire who spent his own money to go to space and act like an astronaut and be like an astronaut, and now he's going to lead NASA? And it's not leaving NASA just any time. Next year, we have Artemis 2 that is going to send people around the moon for the first time in a long time. This mission is critical because it's going to lead to Artemis 3, where we're actually going to start setting up a station on top of the moon and then actually land on the moon again.